Week 4 done. We've learned all the basics now, so the time at training is mainly used for us to prepare our set and for individual feedback. I have timed my set so far and I'm around 15 minutes. I have learned a few new ways to mix. Let me show you. The first thing I learned is a super easy way to transition from one song to another during their build-up stage. And how you do that is by having both tracks play their build-up at the same time, and all you have to do is fade one track to the other, just by changing the volume sliders like that. So I have two loaded tracks, both at the same BPM. This one is loaded already at the build-up, and this one will be playing, and then once it hits the next build-up is when I'll hit play on the second track, and then I'll fade them out. So if I play the first track, wait for the next build-up to start, hit play, and then slowly just fade it in out like that. And it's that simple. I have another example here. Instead of slowly moving the volume faders during the build-up, you do a quick switch at the peak of the build-up. Instead of slowly moving the faders during the build-up like that, at the peak of the build-up, you can quickly swap them out like that. So I have an example here. Same BPM again. This track is already loaded up at the beginning of the build-up, and this track's build-up is coming up. So I'll give you an example. This first song playing. And I'll hit play on the next one. And then at the peak of the drop, I'm going to quickly swap them. Another thing I learnt was a few cheeky times you can do big BPM changes without the audience really knowing. One of those times is when there's no rhythmic instruments playing, such as drums or percussion. So for example, I have this track here at 145 BPM, but I needed to get to 130. And I have this part in the track that has no rhythmic instruments playing. So I'm going to use this part of the track to do the BPM change. So this is what it's going to sound like when I move the tempo slider. Barely noticeable. Another good time to change the BPM without the audience knowing, especially if you're going faster, is during the build-up. So I'm going to use the same song and go back to 145. So this is what it sounds like normally. So you notice it's already building up energy and the drum pattern's going faster and faster. So if I've played the build up again and slowly move the BPM, it's pretty hard to notice. Another thing I'm trying to learn is double dropping, which is basically having two drops playing at the same time. So I have these two tracks here. This is what the first track sounds like. Then I have this track here, which I think has a very similar sound to the first track, kind of have the same keys, and I think they work really well together. And this is what it sounds like on its own. So I thought, let's play them together. So I've set a cue point, 8 bars before the drop. So I have time to line up, make sure everything's okay. And this is what it sounds like. So line it up. An important thing to know when double dropping is to make sure one of the basses is completely off, because when you have both basses playing it can get super muddy. So after practicing a bit, I found out I like the second build up of this track, but I like it with the first drop of the track. So what I'm gonna do is have the build up of the second track, and once the drop's about to hit, I've set a cue point at the first drop and playing it there. It adds an extra step and there's more chance for me to mess up, but I think it's worth it. It might not be the best way to do it, but it is what it is. So this is what the first build up sounds like. But for some reason I like this second build up better. So this is where I'm at now with the double drop. And once the drop's about to come, I'm gonna switch it. And that's everything I learned in week 4.